The morning sun cast long shadows across the countryside as the royal convoy made its way along the winding road toward Windsor Castle. Inside the lead vehicle, tension filled the air like a thick fog. Prince Harry sat quietly, his hands clasped tightly in his lap, while Meghan stared out the window at the passing landscape. Their son Archie, now 4 years old, pressed his small face against the glass, watching the world rush by with the innocent curiosity that only children possess. This wasn't supposed to be happening. The invitation to the family gathering had come as a surprise to everyone, including Harry and Meghan themselves. After years of strained relationships and public disputes, the royal family had extended what many saw as an olive branch. The couple had debated for weeks whether to accept, knowing that their return to British soil would inevitably attract massive media attention and scrutiny. "Look, Daddy, there are horses!" Archie exclaimed, pointing excitedly at a field where several horses grazed peacefully. His innocent joy provided a brief moment of lightness in an otherwise heavy atmosphere. Harry smiled at his son, remembering his own childhood fascination with the animals that roamed the royal estates. The convoy consisted of 3 black vehicles, each one carefully positioned to ensure maximum security. In the lead car sat Harry's former protection officer, James Mitchell, a man who had served the royal family for over 2 decades. Mitchell had been specifically requested for this journey, as Harry trusted him more than any other security personnel. Behind them followed the main vehicle carrying the family, and, bringing up the rear was another security car filled with additional protection officers. As they approached a particularly narrow section of the road, Mitchell's trained eyes scanned the surrounding area. Years of experience had taught him to notice even the smallest details that might indicate potential threats. The hedgerows were thick here, providing perfect cover for anyone who might want to cause harm to the royal family. His radio crackled softly with updates from the other vehicles, confirming that all was proceeding according to plan. The journey had begun early that morning from their temporary accommodation in London. Harry and Meghan had chosen to stay at a private residence rather than any royal property, maintaining their desire for independence even during this reconciliation attempt. The decision had caused some raised eyebrows among royal protocol officers, but the family had insisted on maintaining certain boundaries. Meghan shifted uncomfortably in her seat, her designer dress carefully chosen to strike the right balance between respect for royal traditions and her own personal style. She had spent hours with her stylist, knowing that every detail of her appearance would be analyzed and criticized by the British press. The weight of returning to a country where she had faced such intense scrutiny was almost overwhelming. "How much longer?" she asked quietly, her American accent still noticeable despite years of attempting to soften it for British audiences. The driver glanced at his GPS and estimated another 40 minutes to their destination. 40 minutes that felt like an eternity to a woman who had once been embraced by the British public but had later become a figure of controversy. Archie, oblivious to the adult tensions surrounding him, continued to chatter excitedly about everything he saw. His British accent was already becoming more pronounced, a fact that both delighted and concerned his parents. They wanted him to maintain connections to his father's homeland, but they also worried about the pressures that might come with being too closely identified with the royal family. The security arrangements for this journey had been planned for months. Every possible route had been analyzed, every potential threat assessed, and every contingency planned for. The Royal Protection Unit had worked closely with local police forces to ensure that the convoy would face no unexpected obstacles or delays. Yet despite all this planning, there was an air of unpredictability about the whole situation. As they passed through a small village, curious locals gathered on the sidewalks, hoping to catch a glimpse of the returning royals. Some waved enthusiastically, while others simply stared with the mixture of fascination and judgment that had always characterized the British public's relationship with their royal family. Mobile phones appeared everywhere, capturing images and videos that would undoubtedly appear on social media within minutes. Harry remembered making this same journey countless times during his childhood and teenage years. Back then, he had taken the security arrangements for granted, never fully appreciating the complexity and dedication involved in keeping the royal family safe. Now, as a father himself, he understood the weight of responsibility that rested on the shoulders of men like Mitchell. The countryside gradually gave way to more suburban areas as they approached Windsor. the trees became denser, providing more cover but also more potential hiding places for those who might wish harm upon the royal family. Mitchell's grip tightened slightly on his radio as they entered what security experts considered the most vulnerable part of their journey. In the back seat, Archie had fallen quiet, his small hand finding his mother's larger one. Despite his young age, he seemed to sense the importance of this trip. He had heard whispered conversations between his parents about grandparents and family members he barely knew, about a big castle where his daddy used to live, and about the possibility of meeting cousins he had only seen in photographs. The media attention surrounding their return had been intense but carefully managed. Official statements had been released confirming the visit while requesting privacy for the family during this sensitive time. However, everyone knew that the British press would be watching every moment, analyzing every gesture, and speculating about the true nature of this reconciliation attempt. Meghan's phone buzzed softly with messages from her mother and close friends, offering support and encouragement. The decision to return to Britain had not been easy, and she knew that facing the royal family again would require all of her strength and diplomacy. The wounds from their departure were still fresh, and trust would need to be rebuilt slowly and carefully. As the convoy continued its journey, Mitchell received regular updates from his team about the route ahead. Traffic was being managed discreetly to avoid delays, and additional security personnel had been positioned at key points along their path. Everything was proceeding exactly as planned, yet years of experience had taught Mitchell never to become complacent. The weight of this moment was not lost on any of the adults in the convoy. This journey represented more than just a family visit, it was a potential turning point in relationships that had been strained to breaking point. The success or failure of this reconciliation attempt could have implications far beyond the immediate family, potentially affecting the future of the monarchy itself. Harry stared out at the familiar landscape, memories flooding back of happier times when the family had been united. He thought about his mother, Princess Diana, and wondered what she would have made of the current situation. Would she have supported his decision to step back from royal duties, or would she have found a way to bridge the growing divide within the family? The security protocols for this visit were unprecedented in their complexity. Unlike routine royal engagements, this gathering carried emotional and political sensitivities that required careful handling. Every member of the protection team had been briefed extensively on the delicate nature of the situation and the need for absolute discretion. As they rounded another bend in the road, Archie suddenly perked up, his attention caught by something in the distance. The spires of Windsor Castle were now visible on the horizon, their ancient stones standing as a testament to centuries of royal history. For Harry, the sight brought a mixture of emotions, nostalgia, apprehension, and a deep sadness for all that had been lost in recent years. The final approach to Windsor would be the most scrutinized part of their journey. News crews and photographers would be positioned at strategic locations, hoping to capture the moment when the prodigal son returned home. Palace officials had worked tirelessly to balance the public's right to know with the family's need for privacy during such a sensitive reunion. Mitchell checked his watch and confirmed their timing with the other vehicles in the convoy. They were running exactly on schedule, which was crucial for maintaining the security arrangements that had been put in place. Any deviation from the planned timetable could create vulnerabilities that experienced security professionals were trained to avoid at all costs. The radio crackled again with updates from the advance team at Windsor Castle. Final preparations were being made for the family's arrival, with security sweeps completed and all personnel in position. The stage was set for what many hoped would be the beginning of healing within one of the world's most famous families. Sergeant Thomas Bradley had been standing guard at his assigned position for over 3 hours, his trained eyes constantly scanning the horizon for the approaching convoy. As one of the most experienced members of the Royal Guard, Bradley had been personally selected for this crucial assignment. His military background and 15 years of service protecting the royal family made him the perfect choice for such a sensitive operation. The morning had started like any other, with the usual briefings and security checks that preceded any major royal event. However, Bradley could sense that this was different. The tension in the air was palpable, and even the most seasoned officers seemed on edge. The return of Prince Harry and his family represented uncharted territory for everyone involved, from the lowest-ranking guard to the most senior palace officials. Bradley's position offered him a clear view of the approaching road while remaining concealed from potential threats or unwanted observers. His radio earpiece kept him connected to the extensive communication network that coordinated security for the entire operation. Every few minutes, updates flowed through the system, confirming that all elements of the security plan were functioning perfectly. The weather had cooperated beautifully for the reunion, with clear skies and gentle breezes creating perfect conditions for the outdoor elements of the security operation. Bradley had served in far worse conditions, from torrential rain during state visits to sweltering heat during summer garden parties. Today's pleasant weather was a welcome change that would make everyone's job a little easier. As a father of 2 young children himself, Bradley couldn't help but think about the little boy who would soon pass by his position. Archie had become something of a symbol in the ongoing royal drama, representing innocence caught in the middle of adult conflicts. The sergeant had seen many royal children over the years, but Hugh had captured public attention quite like Harry and Meghan's son. The training for this specific assignment had been intensive, with multiple scenarios rehearsed and contingency plans developed for every possible situation. Bradley and his colleagues had studied photographs, memorized faces, and practiced their responses to various potential threats. Yet despite all this preparation, he knew that real situations often unfolded in ways that no amount of training could fully anticipate. His position along the route had been carefully chosen for maximum effectiveness. From here, he could observe approaching vehicles while maintaining communication with both the advance and rear security teams. The location also provided quick access to backup positions if the security situation required rapid repositioning of personnel. Bradley's military service had taken him to conflict zones around the world, but protecting the royal family required a different set of skills entirely. The threats were often more subtle, the stakes just as high, and the need for absolute professionalism even more critical. One mistake, one moment of inattention, could have consequences that extended far beyond the immediate security concerns. The radio chatter in his earpiece indicated that the convoy was now only minutes away from his position. Bradley felt the familiar surge of adrenaline that accompanied moments of high responsibility, a feeling he had experienced countless times throughout his career but had never quite gotten used to. This was the moment when all the planning and preparation would be put to the test. In the distance, he could hear the faint sound of helicopter rotors as aerial surveillance units maintained their overwatch of the entire route. The coordination between ground and air units had been practiced extensively, with clear protocols established for communication and response procedures. Every element of the security operation had been designed to work seamlessly together. Bradley thought about the briefing he had received regarding the unique challenges of this particular assignment. Unlike routine royal duties, this visit carried emotional and political complexities that could affect the behavior of both family members and potential security threats. The sergeant had been specifically instructed to be prepared for unexpected developments that might not follow normal patterns. The approaching convoy represented more than just a security challenge, it symbolized a potential healing moment for a family that had endured very public struggles. Bradley had witnessed many private moments during his years of royal service, always maintaining the absolute discretion that was essential to his role. Today would likely provide more such moments, requiring the same professional silence he had maintained throughout his career. As the minutes ticked by, Bradley's training took over completely. His breathing remained steady, his posture alert but relaxed, and his attention focused on the task at hand. Years of experience had taught him to manage the natural stress that came with high-stakes security operations, channeling that energy into heightened awareness rather than nervous tension. The countryside around his position was peaceful, with only the usual sounds of rural life breaking the quiet morning air. Birds sang in nearby trees, and a gentle breeze rustled through the hedgerows that lined the narrow road. This tranquil setting provided a stark contrast to the intense security preparations that had been taking place behind the scenes. Bradley's radio crackled with the voice of his team leader, confirming that all units were in position and ready for the convoy's arrival. The systematic check-in process had become routine over the years, but today it carried special significance. Every officer understood that their performance during the next few hours could have lasting implications for the royal family's security and unity. The sergeant's thoughts briefly turned to his own family, safely at home and unaware of the important role he was playing in this historic moment. His wife knew only that he was on a special assignment, as security protocols prevented him from sharing details about royal protection duties. This secrecy was sometimes difficult for military families to understand, but it was an essential part of maintaining the effectiveness of royal security operations. Through his earpiece, Bradley could hear updates from units positioned further along the route. The convoy was maintaining its scheduled timing, and no unusual activities had been observed in the surrounding areas. The methodical reporting system provided reassurance that all elements of the security plan were functioning as intended, though Bradley knew from experience that situations could change rapidly. The level of media interest in this visit had required additional security measures beyond those normally employed for royal movements. Photographers and journalists were being kept at carefully controlled distances, while social media monitoring teams watched for any potential threats or security breaches that might emerge online. The modern challenges of royal protection extended far beyond traditional physical security concerns. Bradley adjusted his position slightly, ensuring that he maintained optimal visibility while remaining concealed from potential observers. The art of royal protection often involved being simultaneously invisible and omnipresent, ready to respond instantly to any threat while avoiding drawing attention that might disrupt the family's activities or privacy. As a professional soldier, Bradley understood the importance of following orders precisely while remaining prepared to adapt to changing circumstances. Today's assignment required both absolute adherence to established protocols and the flexibility to respond to unexpected developments that might arise during this emotionally charged family reunion. The sound of approaching vehicles was now clearly audible, growing stronger with each passing moment. Bradley's pulse quickened slightly as he prepared for the culmination of months of planning and preparation. In just a few minutes, he would play a small but crucial role in what many hoped would be a significant step toward healing within the royal family. His final equipment check confirmed that everything was in perfect working order, from his communication devices to his protective gear. Bradley had learned long ago that attention to such details could mean the difference between successful operations and dangerous failures. Today, with so much at stake, there was no room for even the smallest oversight. The convoy was now close enough that Bradley could distinguish the individual vehicles, each one exactly where it should be according to the predetermined formation. The sight brought a sense of satisfaction, knowing that his colleagues throughout the route had successfully guided the royal family to this point without incident. Soon, it would be his turn to contribute to the mission's success. The black convoy approached Bradley's position with mechanical precision, each vehicle maintaining the exact spacing and formation that had been rehearsed countless times during training exercises. Through his binoculars, he could see the lead security vehicle, followed by the main car carrying the royal family, and, finally, the rear protection unit. Everything appeared to be proceeding according to plan, yet Bradley's trained instincts kept him alert for any deviation from the expected pattern. As the vehicles drew nearer, Bradley caught his first glimpse of the occupants through the slightly tinted windows. In the main vehicle, he could see the distinctive silhouettes of Prince Harry and Meghan, along with what appeared to be a small figure between them. The sight of the young prince, barely visible in his car seat, reminded Bradley of his own children and the innocence that existed at the center of this complex family drama. The lead security vehicle passed Bradley's position without incident, its occupants scanning the surrounding area with the same professional vigilance that Bradley himself maintained. These were men he had trained with, served alongside, and trusted with his life on numerous occasions. Their presence provided reassurance that every aspect of the security operation was being handled by experienced professionals who understood the critical nature of their mission. As the main vehicle approached, Bradley found himself focusing intently on the small window where young Archie sat. The boy appeared to be looking out at the countryside with the natural curiosity of a 4-year-old, his small hands pressed against the glass as he took in the unfamiliar British landscape. For a moment, Bradley felt a surge of protectiveness toward the child who had become an unwitting symbol in a very adult conflict. Something about Archie's position in the car caught Bradley's attention. The boy was sitting higher than would be expected for someone his age, almost as if he was kneeling on the seat to get a better view out the window. While this might seem like innocent childish behavior, Bradley's training had taught him to notice even the smallest deviations from normal patterns. Child safety protocols for royal travel were extremely strict, and any deviation could indicate a potential security concern. Through his binoculars, Bradley could see that Archie's seatbelt appeared to be positioned incorrectly, with the shoulder strap falling away from his body rather than securing him properly. The sight sent a chill through the experienced guard's spine. vehicle accidents were among the most common causes of injury and death among children, and proper restraint systems were absolutely critical for ensuring safety during transport. Bradley's mind raced through the protocols he had been taught for addressing security concerns during active operations. Standard procedure called for him to report the observation through proper channels, allowing command personnel to make decisions about appropriate responses. However, the immediacy of the safety concern weighed heavily on his conscience as a father and a protector. The radio protocols for this operation were clear and well established, but they were designed primarily for external security threats rather than safety issues within the convoy itself. Bradley knew that raising concerns about the royal family's behavior, even regarding child safety, required careful consideration of both protocol and potential consequences. His career and reputation could be significantly affected by making the wrong decision at this crucial moment. As the main vehicle continued its approach, Bradley could see more clearly that Archie was indeed improperly secured in his car seat. The 4-year-old appeared to be standing or kneeling, with his safety restraints either undone or incorrectly positioned. The sight of a royal child in potential danger triggered every protective instinct that Bradley had developed during his years of service and fatherhood. The standard security protocols for this operation did not specifically address situations where the immediate threat came from within the convoy rather than from external sources. Bradley found himself in uncharted territory, forced to make a split-second decision that could have far-reaching consequences for both the royal family's safety and his own career prospects. His training emphasized the importance of taking immediate action when child safety was at risk, regardless of the circumstances or potential political complications. The fundamental responsibility of royal protection officers was to ensure the well-being of all family members, and this responsibility took precedence over concerns about protocol or diplomatic sensitivities. Bradley's finger hovered over his radio transmission button as he wrestled with the decision. He could see that the convoy was maintaining its predetermined speed and route, apparently unaware of the safety issue developing inside the main vehicle. The rear security vehicle was too far behind to observe what Bradley had noticed, and the lead vehicle's occupants were focused on the road ahead rather than monitoring the royal family's behavior. The weight of responsibility settled heavily on Bradley's shoulders as he realized that he might be the only person in a position to address this safety concern before it potentially became a tragedy. His experience as both a father and a security professional told him that children's safety should never be compromised, regardless of the broader political or diplomatic implications of taking action. Through his earpiece, Bradley could hear the routine communications between various security units, confirming that the convoy was proceeding as planned with no external threats detected. None of these communications indicated awareness of the safety issue that Bradley had observed, reinforcing his sense that he alone was positioned to address the potential danger. The approaching vehicle was now close enough that Bradley could see Archie's face clearly through the window. The boy appeared happy and excited, completely unaware of the potential danger posed by his improper positioning in the car seat. His innocent enthusiasm for the journey stood in stark contrast to the safety concern that was causing Bradley such anguish. Bradley's military training had taught him that decisive action was often more valuable than perfect adherence to established protocols. In combat situations, soldiers were expected to adapt to changing circumstances and take initiative when necessary to protect lives and complete missions. The current situation, while different in nature, seemed to call for similar decisive leadership. The consideration of potential consequences flashed through Bradley's mind in rapid succession. Taking action could result in disciplinary measures, career setbacks, or even dismissal from royal service. However, failing to act could result in injury or death to a child whose safety was his responsibility to protect. When viewed in these terms, the choice became clear despite the personal risks involved. Bradley's hand moved to his radio as he made the decision that would define not only this mission but, potentially, his entire career. The safety of young Prince Archie had to take precedence over all other considerations, including his own professional well-being. Years of training and parental instinct converged in this moment of critical decision-making. The convoy was now only seconds away from passing his position completely. If Bradley was going to act, it had to be immediately. The window of opportunity was rapidly closing, and any delay could mean missing the chance to prevent a potential tragedy. His finger pressed the transmission button as he prepared to interrupt the carefully orchestrated operation with an emergency intervention.
"Control, this is Bradley," he said into his radio, his voice steady despite the adrenaline coursing through his system.
"I have a safety concern regarding the principal's vehicle. Requesting immediate halt for child safety verification." The words seemed to hang in the air as Bradley waited for the response that would determine how this unprecedented situation would unfold. The radio crackled with surprised voices as command personnel processed this unexpected development. Bradley could hear confusion and concern in the communications as various units tried to understand what had prompted this departure from established protocol. The convoy continued moving, but Bradley could see brake lights beginning to illuminate as drivers received instructions through their own communication systems. The convoy came to a gradual halt along the narrow country road, the precision of the stop demonstrating the professionalism of the drivers who had been trained for exactly these types of unexpected situations. Bradley could see confusion beginning to register on the faces of the occupants in the main vehicle as they tried to understand why their carefully planned journey had been interrupted. Through the windows, he watched as Prince Harry leaned forward to speak with the driver, while Meghan looked around anxiously to identify any potential threats that might have caused the security stop. Command Control's voice crackled through Bradley's earpiece with a mixture of authority and concern.
"Bradley, explain your assessment immediately. All units are standing by for your report."
The tension in the communications system was palpable as dozens of security personnel awaited information that would determine their next actions. This type of emergency halt during royal transport required immediate justification and clear explanation of the perceived threat. "Sir, I observed the young prince improperly secured in his safety restraint system," Bradley reported, maintaining his professional composure despite the magnitude of what he had just initiated. "The child appears to be standing or kneeling in his seat with restraints either undone or incorrectly positioned. This represents an immediate safety hazard in the event of sudden braking or collision." The silence that followed Bradley's report seemed to last forever, though in reality it was only a few seconds as command personnel processed this unprecedented situation. Never before had a royal convoy been halted for internal safety concerns, and the protocols for handling such a situation were not clearly established. Command would need to balance child safety requirements with security concerns, diplomatic sensitivities, and the complex family dynamics surrounding this particular visit. Inside the main vehicle, Harry and Meghan were becoming increasingly concerned about the unexpected stop. Through the windows, they could see security personnel maintaining their positions while speaking quietly into their radio devices. The couple's protective instincts regarding their son were heightened by years of security concerns and media scrutiny, making any deviation from planned procedures particularly alarming. Archie, still blissfully unaware of the safety concerns his positioning had caused, continued to peer out the window with curiosity. From his elevated position in the car seat, he could see the security officers and vehicles that surrounded their small convoy. His 4-year-old mind processed this as an interesting interruption rather than a potential safety issue, and he began pointing out various details to his parents. Bradley could see the main vehicle's doors remaining closed as security protocols required all occupants to remain inside until the nature of any potential threat could be determined. The sight of the young prince still improperly positioned reinforced Bradley's conviction that his decision to halt the convoy had been correct, regardless of the professional consequences he might face. Command Control's voice returned to the radio system with carefully measured words.
"Bradley, maintain your position.
We are dispatching Sergeant Mitchell from the lead vehicle to assess the situation and provide recommendations for resolution." This decision represented a compromise between taking the safety concerns seriously and maintaining the established chain of command during royal protection operations. James Mitchell, the experienced protection officer who had served the royal family for decades, emerged from the lead vehicle and began walking back toward the main car.
His face showed the strain of dealing with an unprecedented situation that fell outside normal operational parameters.
Mitchell's relationship with Prince Harry provided him with the trust and authority needed to address sensitive family matters while maintaining security protocols.
As Mitchell approached the main vehicle, Bradley could see animated discussion taking place inside the car.
Prince Harry appeared to be explaining something to Meghan while gesturing toward their son, possibly realizing for the first time that Archie's positioning might have prompted the security halt. The couple's body language suggested a mixture of concern, embarrassment, and appreciation for the vigilance of their protection team. Through his binoculars, Bradley watched as Mitchell knocked gently on the vehicle's window before Harry lowered it to speak with the protection officer. The conversation appeared calm and professional, with Mitchell explaining the safety concern that had prompted the halt while Harry looked back at his son's position in the car seat. The prince's expression showed immediate understanding and what appeared to be gratitude for the intervention. Meghan quickly turned to address Archie's positioning, working to ensure that his safety restraints were properly secured. The 4-year-old initially resisted the adjustment, wanting to maintain his elevated position for better viewing, but his mother's gentle but firm approach eventually convinced him to cooperate with the safety requirements. The sight of the family working together to address the concern provided Bradley with validation that his decision had been appropriate. Mitchell's voice came through the radio system with an update for command control. Safety concern confirmed and being addressed by the family. Young prince's restraint system is being properly adjusted. Request 2 minutes for completion of safety procedures before resuming movement. The professional tone of the report helped to normalize what had been an extremely unusual situation. Bradley felt a surge of relief as he watched the family working together to ensure Archie's safety. His years of experience as both a security professional and a father had prepared him to recognize potential dangers that others might overlook, and seeing his concerns validated provided confirmation that his training and instincts remained sharp after years of service. The radio chatter among various security units reflected a mixture of relief and admiration for Bradley's vigilance. Experienced protection officers understood how difficult it could be to make split-second decisions that balanced safety concerns with protocol requirements, and many of them expressed respect for his willingness to prioritize child safety over career considerations. Inside the main vehicle, Harry took a moment to look out toward Bradley's position, though the guard's concealment made it impossible for the prince to identify exactly who had initiated the safety halt. Harry's expression suggested genuine appreciation for the level of care and attention that his family's protection team provided, even in situations that went beyond traditional security concerns. Mitchell completed his assessment of the safety adjustments and reported back to command control that all restraints were now properly positioned and secured. Archie, though slightly disappointed about his reduced viewing position, appeared to have accepted the new arrangement with the resilience that most 4-year-olds display when dealing with adult requirements they don't fully understand. The brief halt had created an unexpected moment of connection between the royal family and their protection team. Despite years of strained relationships and public controversies, the shared concern for Archie's safety had reminded everyone involved of their common commitment to protecting the most vulnerable member of the family. This moment of unity provided a positive foundation for the challenging reunion that lay ahead. Command Control's voice returned to coordinate the resumption of movement. All units, prepare for convoy restart. Maintain heightened awareness and report any additional concerns immediately. The safety intervention demonstrates the importance of constant vigilance during royal protection operations. The acknowledgement of Bradley's actions in official communications provided public validation of his decision-making. As the engines restarted and the convoy prepared to resume its journey, Bradley felt a profound sense of satisfaction despite the stress of the previous few minutes. His willingness to prioritize safety over protocol had potentially prevented a serious accident while demonstrating the dedication and professionalism of the Royal Protection Service. The incident would undoubtedly become part of his permanent service record, but he felt confident that it would be viewed as an example of exemplary judgment rather than a breach of protocol. The vehicles began moving forward once again, with Archie now safely secured in his properly adjusted car seat. Though his viewing angle was somewhat reduced, the young prince continued to watch the passing countryside with enthusiasm, completely unaware that his improper positioning had caused such concern among the adults responsible for his safety. His innocent joy provided a reminder of why such vigilance was necessary and worthwhile. Bradley remained at his position as the convoy passed, maintaining his professional demeanor while feeling a deep sense of pride in the outcome of this unprecedented situation. The successful resolution of the safety concern had demonstrated that the Royal Protection System could adapt to unexpected challenges while maintaining its primary focus on the well-being of the royal family members under its care. As the convoy resumed its journey toward Windsor Castle, the atmosphere inside the main vehicle had changed significantly from the tension that had characterized the earlier part of the trip. The brief safety halt had served as an unexpected reminder of the dedication and professionalism of their protection team, helping to ease some of the anxiety that Harry and Meghan had felt about returning to British soil under such scrutinized circumstances. Harry found himself reflecting on the incident as they continued along the familiar roads of his childhood. The guard who had initiated the halt had demonstrated exactly the kind of vigilance and care that he remembered from his earliest days growing up within the royal system. Despite all the conflicts and controversies that had surrounded his departure from royal duties, moments like this reminded him of the genuine commitment that many people within the system had to his family's well-being. Meghan, still adjusting Archie's seatbelt to ensure it remained properly positioned, felt a mixture of embarrassment and gratitude about the intervention. As a mother, she appreciated the concern shown for her son's safety, even though she wished the issue had been caught and corrected before it required outside intervention. The incident had highlighted how the constant scrutiny of royal life extended even to the most basic aspects of family travel. Young Archie, now properly secured in his car seat, had quickly adapted to his new position and was once again absorbed in watching the passing scenery. His resilient 4-year-old spirit had moved past any disappointment about the restraint adjustments, and he was pointing excitedly at sheep in a nearby field. His innocent enthusiasm provided a welcome distraction from the adult tensions that still surrounded this momentous family reunion. The lead security vehicle maintained its steady pace as they approached the final stretch of road leading to Windsor Castle. James Mitchell, riding in the passenger seat, was already coordinating with the castle security team to ensure that their arrival would proceed smoothly despite the brief delay caused by the safety halt. His years of experience managing royal logistics allowed him to adapt quickly to unexpected developments while maintaining overall operational effectiveness. Through his radio communications, Mitchell could hear the positive feedback being shared among the protection team regarding Bradley's intervention. The consensus among experienced officers was that the guard's actions had demonstrated exactly the kind of proactive thinking that made royal protection effective. Several officers commented that they would want someone with Bradley's vigilance protecting their own families under similar circumstances. The countryside gradually gave way to the more formal landscapes surrounding Windsor Castle as the convoy entered the final phase of its journey. Ancient oak trees lined the roadway, their massive trunks bearing witness to centuries of royal history and family drama. For Harry, these familiar sights brought back memories of both happy childhood moments and, more recent painful experiences within the royal system. Behind them, Sergeant Bradley was completing his post-incident reporting requirements while maintaining his assigned position until officially relieved. His detailed account of the safety observation and subsequent resolution would become part of the permanent record of this historic visit. The thorough documentation served both to protect Bradley from potential criticism and to provide lessons for future royal protection operations. The radio traffic among security units had returned to routine operational communications, but there was an undercurrent of satisfaction about how the safety incident had been handled. Professional protection officers understood that their responsibilities extended far beyond traditional security threats, encompassing any situation that could potentially harm the people under their care. Bradley's actions had exemplified this comprehensive approach to royal protection. As Windsor Castle came into view, Harry felt the familiar mixture of emotions that always accompanied his return to this historic family seat. The massive stone walls and ancient towers represented both the weight of royal tradition and the personal relationships that had shaped his life. Today's visit carried the potential for healing some of the wounds that had developed within the family over recent years. Meghan gripped Harry's hand as they approached the castle gates, drawing strength from his presence while preparing herself for what would undoubtedly be an emotionally challenging day. The safety incident during their journey had served as an unexpected reminder that, despite all the conflicts and controversies, there were still people within the royal system who genuinely cared about their family's well-being. The castle's security protocols required the convoy to pass through several checkpoints before reaching the main entrance where the royal family would be waiting to greet their returning relatives. Each checkpoint represented years of security planning and risk assessment, designed to ensure that no threats could reach the heart of one of Britain's most important royal residences. Archie's excitement was building as the imposing castle walls grew larger in the car windows. His 4-year-old imagination was captivated by the medieval towers and battlements that looked like something from the storybooks his parents read to him at bedtime. The young prince had no way of understanding the complex family dynamics that had made this visit necessary, but he could sense the importance of the moment. The final security checkpoint confirmed the convoy's identity and authorization before the massive gates swung open to admit them into the castle grounds. Harry could see members of his family gathered in the courtyard beyond, their formal positioning reflecting both royal protocol and the carefully managed nature of this reconciliation attempt. The sight of his grandmother, father, and brother waiting to receive them brought tears to his eyes. Mitchell's voice crackled through the radio system with final coordination instructions as they prepared for the formal arrival ceremony. Every detail had been choreographed to balance the need for genuine family interaction with the security requirements and media management that surrounded any royal gathering. The successful completion of their journey, despite the unexpected safety halt, had set a positive tone for the reunion ahead. The convoy drew to a smooth halt in the castle courtyard, exactly positioned according to the predetermined arrival plan. Harry took a deep breath as he prepared to step out of the vehicle that had carried his family safely through this emotionally significant journey. The brief safety incident earlier had reminded him of the dedication of the people who worked tirelessly to protect his family, providing a foundation of gratitude that would help guide him through the challenging conversations ahead. As the car doors opened and the royal family began to emerge, Archie's properly secured car seat was released to allow him to join his parents for this historic moment. The 4-year-old's excitement about seeing the castle was evident in his bright smile and eager questions about the towers and flags he could see around the courtyard. The successful resolution of the safety concern during their journey had demonstrated that, despite all the conflicts and changes within the royal family, the fundamental commitment to protecting and caring for its members remained strong. This shared dedication to family safety provided common ground that could serve as a foundation for rebuilding relationships that had been strained by recent events. Bradley, still maintaining his assigned position along the route, felt a deep sense of professional satisfaction as radio reports confirmed the convoy's safe arrival at Windsor Castle. His willingness to prioritize child safety over rigid adherence to protocol had contributed to a positive outcome that would be remembered long after the specific details of the security operation were forgotten. The reunion that was about to take place in the castle courtyard represented hope for healing within one of the world's most famous families. The journey that had brought them to this moment, including the unexpected safety intervention that had demonstrated the continued care and dedication of their protection team, had created a foundation of trust and appreciation that could support the difficult work of rebuilding relationships. As Harry, Meghan, and Archie walked toward the waiting family members, they carried with them the knowledge that they were surrounded by people who genuinely cared about their safety and well-being. This understanding would provide strength and comfort during what promised to be an emotionally challenging but potentially transformative day for all involved.